guys, welcome back to my channel. So I never thought honestly that I would be the type of person to film like a line progression video or go into all of that. And like I have mentioned before, I really wanted to share a lot of the different parts of pregnancy with you guys this time around. And this time around with us trying to conceive, honestly, I was obsessed with watching line progression videos, and I really learned about like what DP meant and when it is the best time to take a pregnancy test and everything like that. I also wanted to share with you guys my favorite pregnancy tests and the ones that I didn't like. So I thought that I would just share everything with you guys in a video. So the first thing that I wanted to kind of mention are some apps that I like to use to track my ovulation. So the first one that I really like to use was Flow. As you can see, it is this one right here. And I also liked using Ovia. I have Ovia now, and then I have Ovia Pregnancy that I switched over when I found out that I was pregnant. But I really liked using Ovia Fertility. Basically, I have been tracking my period on here for like 2 years. So I feel like my ovulation and everything is really up to date and everything is pretty accurate. Obviously, an app is just a rough estimate. Your ovulation could be off on the app, but I think that it's really helpful to just kind of have something to follow with if you're really trying to conceive. So basically, this gives you a little window. I didn't update this that I was pregnant, but it gives you a little window. Mine is in the purple, if you can see the date. Sorry, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see that. But basically, it gives you guys a couple of days that you are fertile and when you're supposed to be having your period. It has a lot of things in there. Both apps do, of how you can track your symptoms, and just you can record if you've taken a pregnancy test or an ovulation test, so that way things are more accurate. So for me, I've always tracked my ovulation and my period just because I haven't been on birth control since Caleb and I have been married. I was on birth control in high school, and it was for the reason that I had really bad periods. I got that from my mom. My mom would have to miss like school or work once a month because her periods would be so painful. When I first started my period, I had really intense cramping, so I was on the pill and it made me really sick, so I went off of it. I was only on it for a few months, and since then, since high school, I have not been on birth control. I just really, for myself personally, I've always been afraid of the side effects from it, and I knew that I wanted a big family one day, and it just wasn't right for me to be on birth control. So I basically have tracked, you know, when I have ovulated, and that is pretty much how I went about when Caleb and I would try to get pregnant. So moving on to when I got a positive test, I will put up a picture right here because I feel like that is the easiest way to share with you guys when I got a positive test. So previously, throughout literally every month, whether we're trying or not, I always take a pregnancy test. For some reason or another, I just convinced myself that I am pregnant. So the amount of money that I have spent on pregnancy tests is honestly ridiculous. So I would say December, let's see, probably September, October, and November of this year, I started to purchase the Amazon pregnancy tests. They are very, very cheap. I can leave a link for them down below for you guys if you want to try those. For me personally, I didn't really care for those. I felt like the tests were so small, and I don't know, I just really didn't like to use those at all. I used those up until, like I said, I think it was like September, October, November. I used those. I never got a positive test, obviously, on those, but I just felt like it was really hard to read. I didn't like how thin the test was because I felt like the urine sample just spread throughout the whole test. I felt like sometimes I would see a line and sometimes I wouldn't, and it was just like really confusing for me. So when in December, when I genuinely, was having symptoms, but I thought, there wasn't any way that I could have been pregnant because Caleb and I didn't try during the time that I was ovulating. I must have gotten pregnant after ovulation. So I picked up these first response tests, the pink ones, and these ones I have always really liked. I also always get the clear blue test because once I get a positive on first response test, I just love seeing the digital. It just gives me a peace of mind that I'm not psycho, because I could literally take a test and it not be positive at all, there not be a line at all, and I will literally somehow convince myself that I'm pregnant even though I'm not. I'm just crazy. So I really like just having these digital ones because they are a lot more expensive, but for me, like when you guys saw me reacting to being pregnant, I took one of these and it came up right away, and I actually got my positive on the digital at 10 DPO, which I know is extremely early. So I am shocked that I got a test that early, but I wanted to share also some tests that I don't like. I do not like the clear blue test or any test that has the blue line. I really think that the blue line is a lot harder to see. The first response test, on these, you can clearly see that those two positive lines. And I don't know, every time that I have tried to take a clear blue test, I feel like I can't really see it. I feel like, I don't know. For me personally, I just don't like a blue line test. I really like the pink test for first response. So I know that's just a personal opinion, but I figured that you guys would like to know that because I like knowing stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely like first response, and then the clear blue digital test have always been my go-to. I only have line progression tests from 10 DPO to 13 DPO because I had just bought a 4-pack of tests and I knew that I was pregnant and I wasn't going to go and spend any more money because, like I said, I spend so much money every single month on pregnancy tests. So I figured after I got the 4 tests, I was getting blood work done, and I had the positive on the clear blue digital, that I was good to go that way. Okay, so now I will put up the picture here so you guys can kind of follow along. So I just didn't want to play around with the test that morning, and I figured if I was going to be pregnant, I was hoping that it would show up on a clear blue digital. So this was the first test that I took. And normally I would have just taken a first response test, the pink test, but we wanted to share with our family if we were pregnant since it was Christmas Eve. So in my head, I just took the digital test. So the digital test came up positive, and I ended up taking a line test, as you can see, and that one had a faint line. It was positive. So at 10 DPO, which means days past ovulation, I was 10 days past ovulation. I was really surprised to have gotten that digital positive. So when I had taken that test, my period wasn't supposed to start for another 5 days. So I was 5 days before my missed period and 10 days post ovulation. And then you can see that the 11 DPO from just the day before was a lot darker, as well as 12 DPO, the test was a lot darker, and then 13 DPO was the darkest test that I had taken. So I really like that I did the line progression test, just because obviously as the line gets darker, you just have a peace of mind that your levels are doubling, and that was obviously something, since I had a miscarriage before, I really wanted to make sure that my HC levels were doubling and that everything was looking good that way. I think literally that following day was when I went to get blood work done, and I got a couple rounds of blood work done and everything was looking great that way. So I know that this was kind of a random short video, but I wanted to just share with you guys a couple things about like what my favorite tests were in a line progression video, because for me, when I started to know more about conceiving and ovulation and pregnancy and everything, when we were trying, I was obsessed with watching these videos, because some people don't even get a faint positive line until like 13 DPO. So everyone is completely different, but I just thought that this would be encouraging if any of you guys are trying to conceive. And when I got my first like positive test, so that you guys can compare. And yeah, I just thought that it would be a really helpful video. So if you guys missed my announcement video, I will leave a card up here. Also, there will be a playlist linked down below of all of the pregnancy content. I will try to keep it all together. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.
You take my